Hello everyone and welcome to the Little Alice vlog. Today I wanted to talk about the writing events that I attend around here at Chicago. There are several local writing events such as Gumbo Fiction Salon, Bad Grammar Theater, and Sappho Salon. There's also the Tamale Hut Cafe, which is a little ways away but absolutely worth the drive. I'm sure there are other writing events that I'm missing out on, but it's a big city and there's a lot of events, and I attend as many as I can, as well as I'm always exploring new ideas. A big part of attending the writing events for me isn't just to shill my own work, as well as exist in a narcissistic bubble of listening to myself read my stories. I also very much enjoy the ongoing stories as well as the new creations of my friends that also attend these events. It's also fun to meet new people and listen to their stories and become inspired by the new creations that they have to present. One of these people, Maggie Wagner, has been doing the collection of short stories known as the Vegetable Diaries for a couple years now. I was particularly inspired by hearing these wonderful stories and have actually now been working on creating illustrations to accompany these short stories. We at Cloud Orchid Publishing are actually going to take these short stories and illustrations and lay them out into an art book, which we're all very excited for, and this is currently in the works as Maggie is still writing and I'm still drawing, so stay tuned for that. Though I don't illustrate everything that I'm inspired by, it certainly gets my creative juices going and sometimes gives me a new perspective on the stories that I'm writing or inspires me to write other poetry or stories. Other authors that I very much enjoy hearing from are Harold Holt and his rather comedic, if not graphic, horror stories, as well as the highly fantastical and high fantasy tellings of Rhiannon Taylor. And who could possibly pass up the joyous dinosaur adventures of Richard, especially Voom and the Man Who Put the Bomb. I also enjoy the comedic and tongue-in-cheek horror stories of Brendan Detzner, as well as he is the owner and chief operator of the Bad Grammar Salon. There are so many other wonderful authors, and you should definitely come to these writing events and hear the amazing stories that they have to offer. Writing has always been a big part of my life, and I am so grateful to have this overwhelmingly supportive local community that helps keep me motivated and inspired. Honestly, it's all because of these communities that I finally got the motivation to get my novel finished. Even without the community, I'm sure that I would have finished these novels as well as sent them for publication. However, I'm sure that it would have taken far more years for me to actually get to that point. The first writing event that I started attending was the Gumbo Fiction Salon, and this is because it's run by my professor from my alma mater, Tina Jens of Columbia College of Chicago. After I was initiated into this wonderful group and made many friends and became more confident in presenting my writing before an audience, I began exploring some of the other local events. I'm pleased to say that I've made a lot of new friends, and I'm glad that I've garnered so much interest with my work. One of the stories that I have been reading at Gumbo Fiction Salon and many of the other writing events has been my novel Love of the Sea, which you can find updates on via the hashtag LOTS. This is a story about a mermaid and a prince named Cormac. It seems like a typical romance high fantasy novel. However, I do have a lot of twists and turns, as well as Azrae is a strong female character who really takes the original Little Mermaid and turns it on its head. This story started actually in Tina Jen's class back when I was in college, and I am very pleased that it has been submitted to a publisher, and I received word back that they wanted the full manuscript. They are currently reading the manuscript, and I'm waiting upon their response to see if they want to offer me a contract or not. In the meantime, I've been drawing illustrations for this particular novel. I am unsure if the publisher wants to include the illustrations in the book itself if they decide to go ahead and publish this item. However, at the very least, I do enjoy providing illustrations for my stories, and I can release them as part of the marketing campaign, depending on how and when this particular novel is published. The other main projects that I have been working on are with my dear friend Brian and our company, Cloud Orchid Magazine, which has evolved into Cloud Orchid Publishing. Through this publishing house, we've created many artistic books. These are a collection of pictures along with my short stories and poetry. Many of the projects, the photos are shot by Brian. Sometimes I'm involved in the projects, sometimes they're all Brian and whatever model he has hired for the shoot. In any case, regardless of my involvement in the actual photo shoot itself, Brian lays out the book, and then I provide writing that goes along with the pictures as he presents them. Sometimes we combine my existing writings, such as old poems and short stories, and sometimes I write completely new prose pieces in order to better fit the story. This provides a unique combination of work, which has been well received at the writing events that I've attended. One of the most popular pieces that people seem to latch onto has been Oni Whispers in the Snuff Box. This particular work, I call it my baby. This was essentially a project that I spearheaded. I was the creative director, and I used the models Seth Nays and Ophelia Darkley. Brian did all the photography, layout, and post work for me. I'm very grateful to all the parties involved for making this amazing vision come to life. Many people have been shocked upon opening the book and seeing these images, and some have even said that it's given them nightmares, which I know sounds strange, but is kind of the point. This is combined with poetry as well as an ongoing narrative in the story that matches with these pictures. The entire work is meant to be commentary on the mental health system and how it was not so long ago that these facilities were open and tortured people. The mental asylums were closed as late as the 1960s, and many people suffered at the hands of these botched treatments and pseudoscience. It's my hope that when people get over the initial shock of the images and the graphic descriptions in this book, that they are better able to see the vision that I'm trying to create and educate people on how important it is to have mental health awareness, as well as to make sure that we don't slide back into these practices of demonizing people and the demons that they battle in their own minds. As people call them, the smaller books, or my Synesthesia poetry collection, there is going to be a total of 4 books to be released. There may be more released in the future depending on how much more poetry I write in the next year or two. These books were created because I have a collection of over 200 poems that I've written over the years, and we're talking going all the way back to high school. The first of the collection is Synesthesia Darkness. The second of the collection is Synesthesia Depression. The next issues in this collection will be Experimental and Nature. The Nature book will be mostly haiku. The Experimental book will be what you think it is. It'll be very odd, jumbled, challenging, formatting, craziness poems that are rather jarring, and I enjoy them very much. The Darkness book features artwork that I actually did myself. It's charcoal on drawing paper. And I literally did these drawings on my porch because charcoal is messy, and just kind of went to town and was having a blast smearing charcoal all over the paper and beating handprints onto it, and had a glorious time. It was a lot of fun. The Synesthesia Depression book The images included in this book are actually photos by Brian, which he took while he was working on the military base in Afghanistan. Brian is an air traffic controller and actually was retired from his work at O'Hare Airport, but because of the way Brian is, he was seeking some adventure and decided to take a contract in Afghanistan. He is now in Dubai working as an air traffic controller there, and since then we have been able to start creating these projects again and ultimately culminating into the explosion of work you see here. The next two books have not yet been published, as we are still laying them out and deciding on the artwork that will ultimately be included with the poetry, but you can expect to see them soon. There are also several other books that are not pictured here, all of which you can find on Amazon.com. You can search for them by their titles, or you can search for them via Cloud Orchid Publishing, or you can search for them via my name, Little Alice, or by Brian's name, Brian Thompson. We also have several new projects that we are currently laying out right now, as well as we have other projects in the hopper that we have not yet touched. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my fun ramblings about my art world. I know this is a little bit of a turn from my usual makeup videos and chatting on about my performances, but this is also a very big section of my life, and I hope to have more awesome news to update all of you with. Thanks for listening.